trusted our governor, I trusted my commissioners, and that was a mistake.
Thank you, California.
The state of California and Governor Newsom has prioritized the corporate health over the victims of PG&E's wildfires.
Why was PG&E invited in to the governor's office?
Is it fair to say PG&E's influence with the governor got them protection and reward in the face of crimes?
Yes.
California's burning crisis costs all of us. To solve it, we have to master the three core elements: fire, power, money. As the entire town of Paradise evacuated, a retired CAL FIRE dispatcher drove toward the flames.
I knew people were dying. I really hoped it wasn't anybody I knew, but I knew people were dying. Just driving up.
It was worse than the big fire Steve Bradley trained for years ago as a volunteer firefighter in Paradise. On his way up, he called his mom and his grandma, Colleen.
I'll see you soon, love you, bye. That was the last time I talked to her.
We were getting used to the idea of her moving in with us, you know, not to losing her.
Grandma Colleen's daughter, Muriel, had a room ready, but even at age 96, Colleen wasn't ready to move in yet.
She kept putting it off because she didn't want to give up her independence.
Up by the fire, Steve had to stop at the roadblocks. His mom made it out, but nobody heard from Grandma Colleen.
I looked up and I knew where my grandma's house was, and just watching the fire march down the hill towards Chico.
Ethel Colleen Riggs joined the list of hundreds missing. Next morning, her name showed up at an evacuation site.
I have the picture still. Her name's on the board. I was ecstatic. I thought I found her. I found a nurse to help me. She came back out. She said she wasn't in there. And I knew. Just like that, I knew. You know, that was the last hope.
This is Grandma Colleen's house. Investigators found her remains cremated in her own laundry room. That's just one family's horror.
She's my little sister. My father was found in a bathtub.
She didn't want to die. She was hiding in her house.
PG&E admitted to killing all these people.
This is the hook that killed 84 people.
These hooks are what are holding the electrical lines off the ground. And PG&E's decision was simply just to let these things hang until they broke, because it saved them money, apparently.
They knew. They knew those power lines weren't safe. And they'd known for years. Just didn't do anything.
Guilty of 84 felony counts of involuntary manslaughter, criminal negligence, a reckless disregard for life. And you're sitting across from me telling me, but it hasn't sounded an alarm.
Yeah, that's the problem. Nobody's taking any of these things seriously enough.
If it were me, I would have been in jail a long, long, long time ago. But PG&E gets a pass because they're a corporation.
Corporations can't go to prison.
We take no pride in the fact that the punishment is so little.
Instead of 90 years behind bars, the judge sentenced PG&E to pay the maximum fine under California law, $10,000 per victim killed.
We are not holding these people accountable. And we do have mechanisms to hold them accountable.
Mike Ramsey at least got them to admit that they killed all those people. And what should have happened at that point, that's when the system should have kicked in.
You are a killer corporation. Do you understand that? And that means something in terms of with regulatory agencies, with governors' offices, with legislatures.
has it really meant something? Has PG&E's reputation as a convicted killer actually earned it stricter treatment from the people in charge of its state monopoly license? Our nearly 3-year-long investigation reveals the opposite. The state government did more than just help PG&E avoid accountability. Governor Gavin Newsom's administration responded to PG&E's crimes by offering the company reward and protection. The governor doesn't want to talk about it. He's declined or ignored every interview request we've sent dating back to his time as governor-elect. And the state is still rewarding PG&E, even though PG&E is already under more criminal investigations.
CAL FIRE personnel on the site brought to his attention and then our attention what appears to be a broken jumper on one of our transmission towers.
For starting 2 more fires that burned homes. The Zog fire killed 4 people. Even after those fires, California's state government gave PG&E this, an official state safety certificate. This is more than a label, it's worth money, big money.
Across America with mega jackpots, it's Mega Millions.
Let's see if I can make you a billionaire tonight.
That is the draw for the biggest single winning lottery ticket in U.S. history, just 2 weeks before the campfire, $1.5 billion. If PG&E starts another fire that big, this safety certificate could be worth 10 times more money than that. The safety certificate lets PG&E and the 2 other big investor-owned power companies tap into a $21 billion state insurance fund, half paid for by utilities and half paid by the customers through a surcharge on power bills for 20 years. Utilities in the fund can start a big fire, negotiate a settlement with the victims, and get this state fund to pay those victims out. The signature on PG&E's first safety certificate belongs to Alice Stebbins.
I did not want to sign this.
Stebbins was executive director of the California Public Utilities Commission, PG&E's state regulator.
What would you say to the people of Paradise?
That I'm sorry.
She turned whistleblower and cleaned out her desk, fired by the PUC's 5 commissioners. Is it fair to say PG&E's influence with the governor got them protection and reward in the face of crimes?
I think that's a fair assessment. Yes, I do.
How'd it work?
Through AB 1054.
AB 1054 is the state law that created the safety certificates, signed by Governor Gavin Newsom, who benefited from more than $200,000 in political donations from PG&E.
Have you reconsidered giving the money back to PG&E that they contributed to your campaign?
No, my actions, the suggestion is somehow contributions have changed actions. Look what I just passed.
The law the governor's pointing at gave PG&E a safety certificate for making a plan to be safe, but it didn't actually require PG&E to be safe. That's not how the bill started. We obtained documents the public rarely gets to see, draft versions of the safety certificate bill, weeks before it was revealed to state lawmakers. These documents show the law was crafted by O'Melveny & Myers, the law firm Governor Newsom hired to represent him in PG&E's bankruptcy. Payment records show that law firm charged the taxpayers $3 million during the 6 months when the law took shape. Financial firm Guggenheim also helped create the governor's new law, billing taxpayers $3.7 million. The state has a whole agency dedicated to writing bills. We asked the governor why he hired private firms to do it instead, but the governor's office didn't answer. At the time the bill was being drafted, PG&E hadn't pleaded guilty to the campfire crimes yet, but the company was already a convicted felon.
I thought the judgment was strong, but it's never enough because I can never get my family back.
Serving time on probation for the deadly San Bruno gas explosion. That's why, when the bill was being debated,
Any questions?
we pressed the governor for answers about PG&E's money. PG&E was convicted of 6 federal felonies in 2016. After that, You took more than $200,000 to help get elected. How should people trust you to be running the show to come up with the solutions?
I wish you luck with whatever you're working on, but that's a strange question.
You asked that question before you knew what he was doing.
Former San Diego City Attorney Mike Aguirre represents PG&E customers fighting the company's bailout. He uncovered calendar entries, things like meet and greets with PG&E's leaders at the governor's office in the weeks when the governor's bill was being crafted.
Guilty, Your Honor. 84 times they said, guilty, Your Honor. And yet, there was a disconnect between that and being shown in the front door at the governor's office and being given special legislation and special protection. Why? Why was PG&E invited in to the governor's office?
Alice Stebbins says AB 1054 made PG&E's safety certificate automatic.
The bottom line was, I was told to sign it. You will sign this, period.
The governor's bill did create a new wildfire safety division to work with utilities. Our investigation reveals, though, the governor's lawyers watered the bill down. As they revised the language, they chipped away that new agency's power to enforce safety. To get a safety certificate, this early draft would have made utilities earn a positive safety determination from the agency. 2 days later, the authors struck out determination and made it only a staff recommendation. By the time state lawmakers got to see the bill, even that language was gone. To get its first safety certificate, the final law only made PG&E do 4 things, all of them on paper. Out in fire country, Stebbins says the law made PG&E do
nothing.
Did it have to trim trees?
Well, they should have.
But no.
No.
Did they have to go out and inspect their hooks and replace old equipment to get the certificate?
They should have.
For the extensive benefits that a company gets from having a safety certificate, it should come with the accountability.
Nat Skinner heads safety for the PUC's own consumer advocate office. PG&E's safety certificate worries him.
So it makes it harder to hold the utility accountable.
Before the governor's bill, power companies couldn't bill the cost of wildfire damage to their customers unless they proved they acted prudently or reasonably. The governor's bill changed the rules. It automatically deems a power company reasonable if it has a safety certificate. More than that, even if someone manages to prove the utility was unreasonable in causing a fire, the governor's bill capped how much it could hurt the shareholders' profits. Even if they weren't prudent.
Yes.
Why on earth would we want to cap how much the utilities would have to pay back to the wildfire fund if they were wrong in causing the fire?
To protect the utility.
So if this had been in place during the 17, 18, and 19 fires, PG&E shareholders would have been on the hook for about $4 billion, not for the tens of billions that they've ultimately ended up paying out.
And that's what the certificate gets them.
Yes.
They could cause another campfire potentially and not have to go bankrupt this time.
Yes.
I think that's obscene.
I don't understand why this is allowed. Why they get the safety certificate, they get to self-insure, and they get to set up the rules that don't benefit anybody but themselves.
In a written response to our reporting, Governor Newsom's office pointed out the law required PG&E to spend money on safety upgrades, money that a federal judge says the company should have spent years ago instead of draining its safety budgets to pay out bigger profits. Newsom's office ignored all our specific questions about the much bigger amount of money that law gave to the safety certificate program.
The government has made it more of a priority for PG&E to come out okay than the victims of PG&E. And why?